You're live.
Great. Welcome, everyone. Thursday, May 23rd, 12:12 to the Environmental Facilities Corporation Board meeting. Madam Secretary, will you call the roll, please?
Certainly. Chair Stefanko.
Here.
Director Leary. Director Westerman. Present. Director Corcoran.
Here.
Director DeMarquis. Present. I'm so used to looking over. Director Zarowski.
I'm here.
And I note for the record that Director Krasansky cannot join us. Mr. Chair, we have a quorum of the board.
Wonderful. Okay. First item of business is approval of proxy designation appointing me, Jeffrey, as designee for interim commissioner of environmental conservation, Mahar. Of course, I'll be abstaining, but I will ask for a motion in a second, please.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Vita.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Christine. Any discussion? Excellent. All those in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Looks great. Okay, one abstention and the rest are yays. Okay, item number 3 is approval of a proxy designation appointing James Leary as designee for the Secretary of State, Walter Mosley. Again, Jim will abstain. Discussion, or actually a motion in a second.
So moved.
Thank you, Francis, I think. Second.
I'll second.
Christine, thank you again. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Hi.
Okay, unanimous minus one abstention. Next item is approval of the draft minutes from April 11th board meeting. All members were present. I have a motion in a second for the draft minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the draft minutes.
Thank you, Vita.
Second.
Thank you, Francis. Any discussion? Excellent. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Unanimous. Okay. I have nothing to report. However, I would like to call for a motion to enter into executive session to discuss matters related to financial matters of the corporation in accordance with section 105(1)(f) of the open meetings law.
And the
So
public
moved.
meeting will resume after.
Correct.
Still so moved.
Thank you, Francis. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you, Adam. That's vote too, right? All those in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Unanimous. We will now enter an executive session. Let us know when you are offline. Okay, welcome back. No action was taken in executive session, including but not limited to the appropriation of public funds. So that concludes the report of the chair. That would be me, and then we now have Madam President's report.
Okay, a few things. New Secretary of State needs to get approved by the Senate, but Walter Mosley, he's a community leader in Brooklyn. He was an assemblyman representing Brooklyn from 2013 to 2020. So he'll joining us as a board member. So that's good. We mentioned this for folks who are on the governance committee. We are doing a new project impact dashboard that we have been working on since January, February in response to an overall want to do put more things on the website, but specifically to the governor's transparency initiative. We committed to doing this, so we have been busy working on that. IT's been doing this whole report. So that'll be in June. We will actually show it to the board and what it's going to look like. It'll look like how we already put on the website our WIA awards and where they are in the state. And it'll also look a lot like the presentation we do for the projects at the monthly board meetings. Where it'll be in the state, the dollar amounts, project description, et cetera. So it'll go back 4 years now to 2021. And I think we're going to have probably 5 years up, and we'll just always have 5 years up and it'll cycle out the old ones. There's a lot in there, so it gets a little crowded as it is. So we'll be doing that again, previewing that in June, and we'll have that up. Program metrics, we spoke about briefly in the governance committee meeting. This is something we started last year. We didn't really talk about much last year. It was kind of busy and we just kind of was a full board meeting. We didn't really talk about it, like I said. So it's up on the screen. This is, we have our performance measurements, which talks about how we meet the goals that we put forward as our performance measures that we want to meet. This is more programmatic numbers, has specific dollar amounts, how much money we've awarded, how much money SRF dollars, grant dollars, how many projects have funded both from the beginning of the SRFs and then for last year. It's a little prettier document than our performance measures report. This will also be put on the website. And so just real quick, we've done, since 1987, EFC's provided $45 billion worth of financial assistance to communities. We've awarded, since 2015, $2.5 billion to 1,063 projects in WIA and IMG grants. And we have executed in just last year, 2023, 2024, 2.2 billion of project finance agreements were executed for the state revolving funds for 269 projects, and that was last year. Couple other numbers, we did 213 million in state water grants that were approved by the board, 320 million bipartisan infrastructure law bill funding was approved by the board last year, 1.6 billion in SRF funding and grants were approved by the board, and a total of 2.2 billion, which was approved by the board last year in total financial assistance. The WIA and IMG grants were awarded last year to 156 projects. 450 million was awarded in 2023. And we've saved 5.9 billion in potential financing costs to communities because of those 450 million worth of grants.
And that matters.
It does. We were the first, we've talked about it before, we were the first folks to go out with Bond Act funding of 200 million, which we announced in that 450 million that was announced in 2023 for 200 million. So that was nice to go out there with, again, the first round of Bond Act funding. Community assistance has been very busy. We did, in the first year, we served 95 municipalities that we served one-on-one. We had 20 regional events and webinars that were held, and we had 500 participants from local governments in all of those events. We hold a monthly Q&A where people can join on, listen to what other people have to say, ask whatever questions they want. Those have been very popular. We are pursuant to the governor's State of the State initiative, enhancing the community assistance teams. We just had someone join the team, and we're having 2 more join in June. So we can do even more out there. We've done environmental justice and disadvantaged communities are very important. Last year, we awarded 309 million in WIA and IMG grants to advance environmental justice, and 17 million was has already been provided to Mount Vernon of the 150 that was committed to Mount Vernon in 6 different contracts that we've executed since that announcement by the governor. Again, the bipartisan infrastructure law, 320 million, which I've already mentioned, was approved by the board last year. And 96 million has already been committed in a financial project finance agreement last year. And all of this is again on the screen, and this will be printed, will be posted on the website. The SRF, 38 billion since 1987 in the beginning of the program, 1.5 billion for clean water SRF in project agreements last year. And then for the drinking water state revolving fund, 9.8 billion since the drinking water SRF started in 1996, and 757 million in agreements just last year. And then our grant programs, we have the GIGP program, Green Innovation Grant Program, which is helping to mitigate the impacts of climate change. $8.2 million was dispersed to 8 GIGP projects that were completed last year, and 14.5 million was awarded for new projects in February of this year. And they were actually to all environmental justice communities. And then our popular EPG program that we continue for $3 million each year, which gets folks prepared with an engineering report so that they can then come in for SRF funding. 21.2 million has been dispersed to 623 EPG programs to date, which has led to $920 million in CWSRF finance since 2012, the beginning of the program. And then last year, we actually did issued three series of bonds last year. Continued to be AAA rating, as we always are. So those are the highlights. And then real quick, I'll turn it over to Bill and then to Brock to just talk a little bit about what Vita likes to hear is the real specific kind of metrics of lines and wells and meters that this actually paid for.
It's my old engineering spot, sorry.
Yeah, the Clean Water State Revolving Fund, we had 40 projects that were completed, moved on to a long-term financing. 454,000 linear feet of pipe, that's 86 miles of pipe. It's collection sewers, it's force mains, storm sewers and sanitary sewers. And a large portion of that is lining of existing sewers, which is a very cost-effective way of rehabilitating collection sewers around the state. A lot of those are taking place in disadvantaged communities. And as you're doing that lining, it's not intrusive to the community. It's just all worked through a manhole. 969 septic systems taken out of service, nearly 1,000 around the state. A lot of those septic systems are failing. They could be impacting surface waters. They could be impacting drinking waters. Could be impacting drinking water wells in the communities. Is as gross as it sounds. So it's good to get those out of service. 4 new wastewater treatment plants. There's not a lot of communities putting in new collection systems and treatment systems these days, and the ones that are very expensive. They're smaller communities where it's not as cost effective to do it. With the grant programs that we have now, it is more cost effective. They can afford to do it, and it's certainly having an impact on water quality. Those new collection systems, new wastewater treatment plants are directly related to those nearly 1,000 septic systems coming out of service. So it's doing good things.
Really is.
Very good.
Great accomplishments.
And Brock.
So for drinking water, we've had about 20 projects go long-term. And they involve storage, a lot of storage tank rehab, replacement, mainly for deteriorating existing tanks. So just over 3 million gallons worth of storage improvements. Over 1,200 meters have been added or replaced, and that helps communities with their water efficiency. Could with new meters, it cuts down in some cases on water use because they actually see the amount of water that they're using. And over 190,000 feet of water main, mostly replacement, but some new water main to reach extend service to areas that have not received public water before. So, and that's what's that, 36 miles or so water main replacement or new water main.
And I don't know if we have in this report, you're not gonna have it off the top of your head, but a significant amount of projects and dollars going to address emerging contaminants as well.
Yeah.
In the WIA grants.
Right, yeah, and that's not, and when you see the amount of WIA grants from the WIA Emerging Contaminants Fund, that's not the only pool of funding, because we do have projects under the regular WIA program that are also addressing emerging contaminants.
Right, the-
And OEC
Yeah,
funds.
the WIA emerging contaminants grants only go to emerging contaminants over the maximum contaminant level. Other projects that are addressing emerging contaminants, but they're under the MCLs can get a WIA grant, they just don't get a WIA EC grant. They get
And
a
most of
regular
those are what, PFAS?
Yes,
A lot of it.
yeah.
And on Long Island, 1,4
PFOA,
dioxin.
PFOS and 1,4 dioxin.
We've seen those, yeah. Obviously, we've approved them. I'd love to see those stats too, because
Yeah.
it's so funny that we're calling them emerging,
Yeah.
because they're here forever.
They
Right,
emerge.
and they're also, they've been around too, they're not all emerging.
They've been here and they'll be here forever, so.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah, they were emerging until they were regulated. Now that
Now they're regulated. I agree with you.
Well, you'll notice in my description, I refer to them as emerging and regulated.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
yeah,
Yeah, we can add those.
yeah.
Yeah, and if-
I
yeah.
think it's important. A lot of people are
They should
looking
be
for
there.
that data.
Okay. Good. And then quickly, the WIA IMG applications are due June 14th. We don't have yet a single application, so true, it's not, it's not yet the, it's not yet the 13th, so I'm sure we will find lots, we'll get lots of them by June. And then it's also,
I was just gonna add one thing with respect to the WIA applications, which is we developed a video
oh,
to
oh, okay, you can say it, because it's good news.
help municipalities fill out those applications. We have a
Yeah.
video step by step
Yeah.
as to how to do it on our website, so that takes some of the.
That's
Just-
great.
Which is our community assistance staff that produced, directed, wrote, appeared in, starred the video. It's very exciting. But it goes, I mean, it goes step by step through the application. So hopefully folks find that helpful. And it's also June 14th is also the date to get your listing forms in through DOH and EFC to either update what you already have on the IUP or to get listed on the IUP. And then the Green Resiliency Grant Program, which I mentioned briefly in the governance committee, which is fulfilling Governor's State of the State initiative, 60 million made available for resilient, to fund resilient projects, kind of larger projects than maybe our GIGP projects. And that application period is open until August 16th. That's running currently. And I think that's it.
It's a lot.
Awesome, great stuff. Okay, next item, we had two committees met today. Governance and Finance, Governance chaired by Director DeMarchi, Finance chaired by Director Corcoran. Vita, would you like to present first?
Oh, sure, absolutely. Thank you. The governance committee annual meeting was this morning. We had some great robust conversations, reviewed all of our documents. We conducted our annual review of our government's documents, including but not limited to our bylaws. There are no changes this year in our bylaws, and therefore the governance committee proposes, it is our recommendation that the governance committee, that the bylaws be readopted by the full board.
Okay, great. I'll take a motion then to readopt those bylaws and a second.
So moved.
Thank you, Francis.
I'll second.
James and or Vita with the second. Any discussion on the readoption of the bylaws?
Just continue to follow them and review them.
That's right. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
We also reviewed our governance committee charter, and there were also no changes in that. And it is the recommendation of the governance committee that the governance committee charter be re-adopted by the full board.
Great. I'll take a motion and a second to implement that.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Christine.
Second.
James, thank you for that second. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of readoption of the governance committee charter? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, unanimous?
Okay, we also reviewed, the committee's authority and responsibility referenced in the committee charter, and including but not limited to the procurement of goods and services policy. And there are proposed amendments to the corporation's procurement guidelines, and it is the recommendation of the governance committee that the guidelines be reapproved by the full board upon presentation of ID number 2 in our full board meeting.
Excellent.
We also, there is one proposed change in the fundamental policies and procedures. It's a minor update to the workplace violence prevention policy. Otherwise, the fundamental policies of the corporation have remained unchanged.
Okay,
We also reviewed the qualifications of the appointed board members and had a robust discussion on that. We compiled the results of the board performance evaluation and entered into executive session for discussion. And also the defense and indemnification statute covering officers and employees of public entities. There are no changes to that statute. And so therefore, it is the recommendation of the governance committee that the full board approve the documents as developed and recommended pursuant to the committee's authority and responsibilities.
great. Take a motion and a second for that.
Happy
Okay,
to make.
thank you. How about a second?
Second.
Francis, thank you very much. Any
Welcome.
discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
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 All right, unanimous.
Okay, and then we also did my favorite part of the board of the governance committee meeting, which was reviewing our mission statement and performance measurements. We did read the mission statement out loud, as we always do, so I won't do it again unless you want me to. There are no changes to the corporation's mission statement and the performance measures, although we did have a great conversation on each of the measurements and also on our mission and how we are implementing our mission effectively. And so therefore, it is the recommendation of the governance committee that the full board approve the mission statement and performance goals that we are meeting. I added that part.
Perfect. I will take a motion and a second for readoption of the mission statement.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Justine. How about a second?
And-
Francis, perfect. Thank you very much. All those, any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
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 Okay, unanimous again. And that concludes Director DeMarchi's presentation. Chair of the Finance Committee is Director Corcoran, and Francis, will you present?
Certainly, Mr. Chairman, thank you. The Finance Committee met today and took action on 2 items. The first was the approval of our minutes from the January 18th meeting, 2024. And the second was an authorization request for the issuance of New York State Environmental Facility Corporation State Clean Water and Drinking Water Revolving Funds Revenue Bonds, Series 2024. We were given a very extensive presentation by Emily and Kevin, who have once again proactively made moves to try to save money for our customers. And I would request, as it was unanimous, that it be recommended by us to the full board approve the resolution for the Series 2024B, and that it be approved upon presentation as ID number 1. And that's the report from our committee today.
Thank you, Francis. Any discussion? We have no unfinished business, so we'll move right to resolutions. Madam Secretary, how about ID number 1?
Certainly, authorizing the issuance of up to $254,500,000 in New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation State Clean Water and Drinking Water Revolving Funds revenue bonds, or alternatively authorizing long-term direct financing.
Thank you very much. I'll take a motion in a second.
I'll make a motion for approval of ID number 1.
Thank you, Vita and James with the second. Emily Jamison and Kevin Boomhauer will be presenting.
So in this instance, we are asking for authorization for 254.5 million of Series B 2024, Series 2024B bonds, which are refunding Series 2014B. The entire sale will be a refunding. There are 40 recipients, approximately 80 projects that will be covered by this refunding. Anticipated savings are around $13 million for those recipients. The timing would be pricing the week of August 19th and closing approximately September 11th. Kevin can give you some more details on that.
Thank you. This issuance would be a committed subsidy issuance, which means that the subsidy for these bonds will be coming from a different source within EFC. And this is just being done so that we are able to take advantage of the current market conditions. The subsidy levels will remain the same as they are currently. And again, what we'll be saving $13 million and expecting a AAA rating with a debt service coverage of 1.26 times.
Thank you. Discussion.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that in our discussion before that we stated that there was no financial impact to the short-term people for that delayed and converting to the long term. So that's good to know.
Any other questions? Excellent. All those in favor of ID number 1? Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. ID number 2.
A resolution of the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation with respect to the annual review and approval of the procurement contract guidelines of the corporation.
Thank you. Could I have a motion and a second, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Francis. Second,
I'll second.
Christine, thank you. Maureen McGrath will present.
Thanks. Before you again this year are our procurement contract guidelines. EFC is required by the provisions of the Public Authorities Law, Section 2879, to adopt and annually review and approve its procurement guidelines that are modeled after guidance from the New York State Procurement Council, OSC State Authority Contract Manual, Executive Law, Public Authorities Law, State Finance Law, and other state regulations. The only change this year is a result of an amendment to State Finance Law, Section 163, that was signed into law on March 22nd, 2024. This increases the discretionary spending without a formal procurement, competitive procurement for MWBEs and service-disabled veteran-owned businesses. That increases the discretionary amount from $500,000 to $750,000. And that's the only substantive change.
Thank you, Maureen. Discussion, questions for Maureen? Wonderful. All those in favor of ID number 2? Aye.
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 Unanimous. ID number 3.
A resolution of the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation amending prior authorizations for financial assistance to be provided by the corporation to certain recipients in connection with the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund.
Okay, could I have a motion and a second, please?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Christine, with the motion and the second. Thank you. Rebecca Walker will present.
Thank you. We have 2 amendments today. The first is to the town of Guilford and Shenango County. We're seeking authorization to extend the maturity date of the short-term financing by 2 years. This project involves replacing the town's existing surface water source and treatment facility with a new groundwater source and well control building.
The town has done a significant amount of groundwater exploration, but has faced delays due to extensive easement negotiations. 2 wells have now been identified, and the town is considering the best approach to develop a third existing test well. Source connection facilities for the first well have been designed, and construction is expected to start in late summer. And the second project is the town of Martinsburg in Lewis County. This project includes replacement of roughly 5,300 linear feet of water main, the development of an additional water supply source well within the Glenville Water District boundaries, and construction of a new treatment building at the site of the new water supply source. We're seeking authorization to extend the maturity date approximately 20 months to March 31st, 2026. The project now includes a water softening system within the new water treatment plant. And although this isn't expected to put the town over budget, it does mean that extra time is needed to permit the project. Project completion is now expected in June 2025, but we're requesting to extend the financing to March of 2026 to allow for inclusion in the 2026 goal. Questions?
Discussion, questions? Great. All those in favor of ID number 3? Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. ID number 4.
A resolution of the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation making certain determinations and authorizing certain actions in connection with the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund, and authorizing financial assistance payments to certain municipalities to fund eligible drinking water projects from funds appropriated for water infrastructure improvement projects.
Okay, could I have a motion and a second, please?
I'll make a motion for ID number 4.
Thank you, Vita. How about a second? James, thank you. Brock Rogers will be presenting.
Thank you. So the first project is for the Albertson Water District in Nassau County. This project involves the WIA EC grant. That is for a project where the maximum contaminant levels are exceed the state MCL. So the project is addressing emerging and regulated contaminants, the PFOA and PFOS at well number 4. Levels of, as I said, levels of those contaminants have exceeded the state MCL of 10 parts per trillion. The water district proposes to install a new granular activated carbon treated system to remove PFOA and PFOS, and thereby improving the water quality and allowing the water district to provide an adequate supply of water to its customers. Next is Dutchess County Water Wastewater Authority, Dutchess County. That project involves a short-term market rate financing, a WIA EC grant, and a Bill EC grant. Project is addressing emerging and regulated contaminants of PFOA and PFOS that are found in the Greenfield Water District's water supply wells. Levels of those contaminants have exceeded the state MCL of 10 parts per trillion. In addition, those wells are high in manganese. Project includes the installation of a new interconnection between the Greenfields Water District and the Hyde Park water system to serve as an alternate supply of water for the Greenfields Water District. And both of those systems are already owned and operated by the Dutchess County Water Wastewater Authority. So the project includes a new booster pump station, the interconnection piping, installation and valves and hydrants along that interconnection, and upgrades to the existing Hyde Park water treatment plant so that they can ensure that there's an adequate supply of water to the Greenfield Water District. Next project is the Franklin Square Water District in Nassau County. This involves a WIA grant and a Bill EC grant. Project is addressing emerging and regulated contaminants of PFOA and PFOS at plant number 1. The levels of contaminants are below the MCL of 10 parts per trillion, but the district is being proactive, proposing the installation of granular activated carbon to remove PFOA and PFOS, thereby improving the water quality and allowing the water district to provide an adequate supply of water to its customers. Next project is the Village of Garden City, also in Nassau County. This project is for a EC grant. It addresses emerging and regulated contaminants of 1,4-dioxane, PFOA, and PFOS at well numbers 13 and 14. The levels of those contaminants have exceeded the MCL 1 part per billion for 1,4-dioxane and 10 parts per trillion of PFOA and PFOS. Project includes the installation of an advanced oxidation process treatment system to remove 1,4-dioxane and upsizing the existing granular activated carbon treatment system to remove PFOA and PFOS. In addition, there will be the construction of a new treatment building to house the new system. Next is the Village of Greenwood Lake in Orange County. This is a short-term market rate financing and a WIA grant. Project is addressing an inadequate source capacity and deteriorating water treatment plant. The village's wells have experienced a decline in yield and have been determined to be under the influence of surface water. Many of the components in the existing plant have reached the end of their useful life and require continued maintenance. This project includes the redevelopment of existing wells to recover the lost yield and the development of a new spring source to also replace lost yield. In addition, they will be rehabilitating the water treatment plant to new standards and new equipment, thereby improving the water system resiliency and allowing the village to provide adequate supply of water. Next is the Village of Ilion. There are 2 projects for the Village of Ilion. I'll discuss them separately, but they are associated with each other with respect to the overall project scope. First is the 18563 Ilion. Village of Ilion is in Herkimer County, and this is for a long-term interest-free financing and a WIA grant. And then 18563A is a short-term interest-free financing and a short-term market rate financing. The first project, 18563, is for phase 2, which they identify as medium priority distribution system improvements. This includes the replacement of approximately 33,000 linear feet of aged water main and includes installation of about 11,000 linear feet of new water main to remove dead ends in the water system. That project is necessary to provide adequate flow and pressure to the village. The second one, the 18563A, is phase 3 or low priority distribution system improvements, and that includes replacement of approximately 20,000 feet of aged. Also the replacement of valves throughout the distribution system and the installation of hydrant auto flushers where needed. This project will provide resiliency to the village's distribution system by significantly reducing the number of water main breaks caused as a result of old and deteriorating water mains. This project is the Village of Mount Kisco in Westchester County. This is a WIA grant project. It is addressing redundancy and resiliency of the village's water system. The water treatment plant has 3 filter units, and one of which has experienced a failure requiring its replacement. The distribution system consists of water mains that are over 100 years old and in poor condition, and the 4 Leonard Park wells have experienced a loss in capacity. So the project includes upgrading the water treatment plant, replacing water main, and rehabilitating the Leonard Park wells. And those improvements will improve resiliency and redundancy of the water system by allowing the village to provide a reliable supply to its customers. Next is the town of Orwell in Oswego County. This is a short-term interest-free financing. The project is addressing inadequate water supply, deficiencies in the distribution system, and deterioration of the water storage tank. The project includes a new pump station and approximately 2 miles of new water main to connect the Scholar well field in the town of Richland to the existing system in the town. So the Scholar wells will be the town of Orwell's new primary source. Project also includes new hydrants and appurtenances along with proposed water mains, replacement of meters on existing service connections, and rehabilitation of the existing water storage tank in the town of Orwell. And this will enable the town to provide adequate water supply to its customers and improve the resiliency of the existing system. Last is the city of Yonkers in Westchester County. This is a WIA grant project. Project addresses water system redundancy. It includes the installation of about 2,600 feet of water transmission main to provide a redundant transmission main to the southwest part of the city. City currently relies on a 100-year-old 30-inch main to serve the southwest part of the city. In 2012, that main was damaged during construction of the Sawmill Parkway, resulting in the loss of pressure and flow. So installation of the redundant main will allow them to replace the existing 100-year-old main and also provide a redundant transmission main in the event of emergency.
Thank you, Brock. Questions, discussion?
That's a good suite of projects. So out of 10 for our PFOAs and PFOS. Yeah.
In one form.
One for, no, I should have put that in there too.
Yeah,
They go together like
Yeah.
peanut butter and jelly. Sorry.
Okay, anything further? All right, all those in favor of ID number 4? Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. ID number 5.
A resolution of the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation amending prior authorizations for financial assistance to be provided by the corporation to certain recipients in connection with the Clean Water State Revolving Fund.
Thank you, Kate. Could I have a motion and a second, please?
So moved. Second.
We have Francis and James did throw a hand up, and Christine, we figured that out. Rebecca Walker will be presenting again.
Thank you. There's also 2 clean water amendments. The first is for the city of Norwich and Shenango County. This project includes sanitary sewer collection system repairs to address inflow and infiltration problems caused by age and the location of sections of the collection system to a river and within a floodplain. The project was originally scheduled to be completed in December of last year, but the city faced delays in finalizing design. It is now currently in the process of finalizing contract documents to obtain the necessary governmental regulatory reviews for construction. We are seeking authorization to extend the maturity date to September 8th, 2025. The city expects to complete construction in February, but the additional time is needed to document and finalize project costs prior to long-term conversion. And the second project is the town of Yorkshire. This project is focused on creating a sanitary sewer district to replace failing and underperforming septic systems and on-site wastewater treatment systems owned and operated by residents and businesses in the northern portion of the town. When the project closed in March of 2022, total project costs were estimated at $5.1 million. But when the town went out to bid in October of 2023, bids came in higher than expected, and total project costs are now roughly $2 million higher at just over $7 million. We are seeking authorization today for both a funding increase and the award of a new $1.6 million bill grant. The increased project costs will be fully absorbed by grant dollars, both the bill grant as well as additional WIA grant dollars that were previously authorized but not fully realized by the town. And the increased financing is just to pre-finance in full a $3.9 million WQIP grant.
Thank you. Questions or comments for Rebecca? Yeah. Wonderful.
It's frustrating. We're still seeing a number of cost increases.
I know, but there's a good shuffle on coverage.
Yeah.
Cost, yeah,
Good.
good job.
Okay, all those in favor of ID number 5? Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. ID number 6.
A resolution of the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation making certain determinations and authorizing certain actions in connection with the Clean Water State Revolving Fund and authorizing financial assistance payments to certain municipalities to fund eligible clean water projects from funds appropriated for water infrastructure improvement projects.
Thank you, Kate. Could I have a motion and a second, please?
I'll make a motion for ID number 6.
Thank you, Vita. The second.
I'll second.
Christine, thank you very much. Bill Brazell will present.
All right, good afternoon. We have 10 clean water projects before the board today for approval. First is the Village of Cooksaki in Greene County. This is a short-term interest-free financing. Also includes a WIA grant of nearly $1.5 million and nearly $3 million bill grant. The community should see over 70% grant. The project budget remains the same. This project. Village of Cooksaki had previously completed a project to mitigate sanitary sewer overflows in their sewer system. It was not completely successful. They're taking on a second project to address those issues. And they're planning to install approximately 6,600 linear feet of new sanitary and storm sewers to separate currently combined sewers. This project had an engineering planning grant awarded in 2020, and construction is expected to begin in June of 2025. Next, we have another bill project. This is a short-term interest-free financing for the Village of Gowanda in Cattaraugus County. Over $2 million short-term financing, $1.375 million WIA grant, and a $2.8 million bill grant. The village is undertaking a two-phase project to upgrade their 2.2 million gallon per day wastewater treatment plant, replacing various outdated equipment. Highlights include new pumps equipped with VFDs to save energy and conversion from chlorine disinfection to UV. Phase one of the work is underway and expected to be complete in December 2025. Phase two is under design currently. Next, we have the Village of Liberty in Sullivan County. This is a long-term interest-free financing, approximately $7.4 million. And this project also had a WIA grant from 2018. Village of Liberty has a 2 million gallon per day wastewater treatment plant and did work throughout the plant to upgrade equipment to help them reliably treat wastewater in the future. Construction was complete in April of 2024. Next, we have another long-term interest-free financing. This is for the Village of Lima in Livingston County. Requested authorization is nearly $1.8 million in long-term financing. And this project also had a WIA grant from 2018. The village's speedies permit was updated by DEC to include disinfection and other more stringent limits. And so this project added disinfection and made other improvements to the plant to address those other needed changes. This project had an engineering planning grant from 2014, and construction was complete in June of 2023. We have another long-term interest-free financing for the town of Moreau in Saratoga County, just over $10 million, close to $10.25 million long-term interest-free financing. And again, this project had a 2018 WIA grant. Town of Moreau has a collection system. They send their sewage to the city of Glens Falls for treatment. This particular district included 3 mobile home parks that were operating their own septic systems, one of which was documented to have failed. So this district serves those 3 mobile home parks along with an area along Route 9. The extension included nearly 50,000 linear feet of low pressure sewer and nearly 200 new grinder pumps. Construction was complete in December of 2023. Next, we have a long-term interest-free financing for the city of Newburgh in Orange County. So $11.8 million long-term financing, and Newburgh had been awarded a WIA grant for this project in 2015. City of Newburgh is currently addressing a long-term control plan to address combined sewer overflows into the Hudson River. The work for this particular project included improvements to CSO regulator number 2 and upgrades to the headworks at the wastewater treatment plant and various improvements in the sanitary and stormwater collection systems. Construction is wrapping up on this project and is expected to be complete in July of this year. All right, next we have a short-term interest-free financing for the Village of Pulaski in Oswego County. It's a $4.37 million short-term financing and a little over $1.5 million WIA grant from 2021. Village of Pulaski has a 0.65 MGD wastewater treatment plant and their collection system. This project includes upgrades at the treatment plant and rehabilitation of the collection system to reduce inflow and infiltration, and also upgrades to 2 of the village's 6 pump stations. Construction is underway and expected to be complete by the end of 2024. Next, we have a long-term interest refinancing for the town of Riverhead in Suffolk County. $3.3 million long-term financing. This project also had a WIA grant from 2017. This is a small wastewater treatment plant, was upgraded to 100,000 gallons per day for the Calverton Sewer District. What's notable about this project is that they relocated the discharge from inside the Peconic Estuary to outside. So this is reducing nitrogen flows to Peconic Estuary, thus improving the water quality in that estuary. Construction was complete in December of 2022. Another long-term interest refinancing, this for the village of Saranac Lake in Franklin County, $1.4 million. And we're increasing their CWSRF grant by $61,000 so they can realize more of the grant that had been awarded to them originally. The village had undertaken a previous project to address I&I within the community. This phase of the work includes approximately 3,000 linear feet of storm and sanitary sewer, some grinder pumps and associated low pressure sewer, and relocation of nearly 1,000 linear feet of water mains within the village. Improvements from both these phases reduced I&I to the collection system, which will improve water quality in Saranac Lake, Saranac River, and ultimately Lake Champlain. Also addresses water quality in an environmental justice area within the village of Saranac Lake. The village had an engineering planning grant for this project in 2017, and construction was complete in October of 2022. And then lastly, we have a long-term interest refinancing for the village of Silver Creek in Chautauqua County. It's just over $2 million long-term financing. And this project had a WIA grant from 2018. Village of Silver Creek has a 0.75 million gallon per day wastewater treatment plant that had experienced numerous issues in recent years due to deteriorating infrastructure in both the collection system and the treatment plant itself. The village has a wet weather bypass that is used when they have significant flows. In August of 2012, DEC had issued an order on consent requiring the village to address the I&I in the collection system. And this financing covers the work that was done in the final 3 phases of that sewer rehabilitation program. Project included nearly 1,000 feet of sewer replacement and 45,000 linear feet of sewer lining. The village had received an engineering planning grant for this project in 2016, and construction was complete in November 2023. Are there any questions on those projects?
I was just going to say, as we were going through this, I was just taking particular notice on how responsive EFC is from when it's approved by DEC, reports are approved, and then when it's queued up and ready to go. And, you know, those timeframes are very short. And I was just noticing that at our responsiveness, but 2 particularly were the, so this is just a kudos thing, was the village of Gowanda. And this was that the upgrades were approved on, which one was it? The upgrades were approved on the same exact day that it became eligible. Yeah, the report was approved by DEC on November 8th and became eligible and was on November 8th. So, and you got one more of that last one that you did as well was on the same day. So out of all of those, but the response time, I was just noticing how responsive.
My staff works very closely with the DEC central office staff downstairs here and also with the regions. They meet with regional staff on a regular basis, and
they must have been in the same room with those 2 projects because it was like the same day.
we invite DEC to comment on all engineering reports and plant specs, even if they don't need to, or if we don't need to let them, we want to work closely with them.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right. Just wanted to notice that.
excellent stuff.
And DOH works very well with DOH.
Yes, yes.
We work closely with our local.
Yeah.
Coordinated review of them in our district offices.
And we're
Great.
not in the same room, but we still do a great job communicating.
Yeah, good
They're across-
communication, good cue
You
up.
guys are actually further away than within DEC or DOH than DEC and EMC.
Okay. If there's nothing further on that one, all those in favor of ID number 6? Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous again. Okay. I think that concludes our business. No new business. Thank you to the directors and the
Long
team
one.
for a long one today. A lot of projects, a lot of money moving out the door.
Yeah.
Unless there's anything anyone wants to raise, I'll take a motion and a second for adjournment.
So moved.
Thank you, Francis. Thank you, James. On the second, next meeting is Thursday, June 20th at noon. It will be preceded by finance and audit at 10:45 and 11:15 respectively. All those in favor of adjournment? Aye.
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 Great. Unanimous. We adjourned.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great long weekend.